The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And I'm joined by folks this week, as opposed to last week when I was here all by myself. I should play that song, All By Myself. Joining me today on the panel are Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Hello there.
And Father Andrew Kinstetter. Hey, Father.
Greetings and salutations.
Stole your line.
You took my line, so I had to try to take yours. It's good to be here.
So, we've been at this for a while. We have a rhythm and a routine, and Pat, you just like to throw that into the gears. All right, so let's get into our discussion for this week. And hey, Lent is coming up as it does every year, and it's January. When is Ash Wednesday? Like mid-February?
February 18th.
18th. Okay, I knew you'd know.
Mm-hmm.
But now is the time to start thinking about our preparations for Lent and how we're going to approach Lent. And I know a lot of folks, this is a technology podcast for Catholics, and I know a lot of folks who listen every year try to do something with technology, their technology use as a Lenten sacrifice of some sort. And so I wanted to talk about that topic, but maybe from a slightly different perspective. Before I do, I want to ask, Father, do you have some Lenten disciplines you impose on yourself regarding tech?
There's a few that I often do. Well, now I think it's going to be less so because I've already deleted them off my phone. But one of the things that I really like to do during Lent is just delete all the social media off my phone. So I need to keep Facebook because that's kind of how I do the parish Facebook, and it is a good way to keep in touch with people who don't have my personal number. But deleting the app off my phone is something that I like to do, and then just use Facebook on the computer. So it very much limits the amount of scrolling that I just do on my phone. And I would say do that. Do that for all of the other social medias. But in the last year, I've kind of purged all the other social medias. So I don't have those on my phone as a rule in general. So that's definitely, something to consider, especially if you don't want to give up social media altogether, but you want to limit it. And that could be a good Lenten practice or a good lifelong practice, which is we wanted to take this in a direction that wasn't just a Lenten sacrifice, but more of a lifestyle. You're calling it a digital Sabbath, which I think is a very great way to kind of talk about it. Another brief example of what I've done before, and it's really hard to do, but it is a good idea if you don't want to delete the apps off your phone, but you can turn your phone to grayscale. So at least there's a sacrificial nature of fasting from all the glitz and the glamour, but you can still use those social media apps on your phone. But it creates quite a bit of sacrifice to use it in grayscale.
Yes.
But it's still workable, and it's still a form of sacrifice. So, those are two just kind of off the top of my head that I've done in the past or like to do.
Okay. Pat, do you make tech related changes for Lent?
Mainly, I guess my approach to Lent is always, instead of giving up, I want to look for things I can do additional. Mm-hmm. And so I tend to, put more of the meditation books and things like that on my Kindle and audio books and stuff like that. And kind of.
Oh, we lost Pat. Oh, no. She's having some tech difficulties. Surprise, surprise on this show. But she'll be back in a minute. Well, that's actually the interesting. She says that it's two interesting approaches to the topic. Welcome back, Pat.
Sorry about it. I don't know what's happening. I'm going to have to adjust and see if maybe I can get a better Wi-Fi signal somehow. Okay,
so we'll just continue on and talk about how the topic for today is digital Sabbaths. Now we've often heard about digital fasting or fasting in general, and that's where we just give stuff up and we give up social media, or we give up video games, or we give up scrolling on things, using our phones, or that sort of stuff. But maybe we need to or can take a slightly different approach that creates, instead of giving up for 40 days, which is fine, which is good. Maybe we can make some changes for life that go beyond the 40 days. They can include the 40 days, but go beyond the 40 days. And that's what it's talking about with a digital Sabbath. And, we asked the question to start off, is a digital Sabbath possible in 2026? And the reason I asked that is, tech has become so much a part of our lives. We don't use tech anymore per se. Mm-hmm. It uses us. We are often the products. We are manipulated and controlled, and but they've also become an indispensable tool. They're not a tool like the way a hammer's a tool. We don't pick them up and put them away. Like I pick up a hammer, I nail something, I go put it back. When the job's done.
I literally could not do what I need to do without my phone. Yeah, on a daily basis. It's that essential.
Yes, exactly. And phone, computer, when you include all the tech, tablets or what have you, we need all of these screens. Most of us, even farmers, they're, our friend Matt, who is a farmer, he was, telling us about how computers run his machines, the combines and the seed laying machines. And I'm ruining all the terminology. Sorry, but you know what I mean? Like almost every profession now has some sort of screen involvement in getting it done. Even like an artist will use screens to sell their stuff in an Etsy or, that sort of thing. So it's just so much a part of everything. And so our devices, they follow us, they buzz at us, they train us to check them all the time. It's not that we're weak-willed, that we're constantly giving in. It's that the system is designed to beat us. Mm-hmm. And that's an important thing. In fact, I feel like I've been trying to learn, a lesson I've been trying to learn in the spiritual life in general is to stop beating myself up for being weak-willed and failing and realize, this is what I'm a human being. I am not the Virgin Mary. I'm not going to be sinless in my life. I'm not going to be always win at everything and never lose at anything. I am who I am. Don't beat myself up for it. Just try to do better. And I think that's kind of the approach I want to take when I'm talking about digital Sabbath. Father, is that a sort of a approach you recommend with the spiritual life?
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me of anybody trying to grow in virtue. There's a common, it sounds a bit crass, but fake it till you make it. And so the whole idea there is that if you want to grow in virtue, act virtuously. Even if you don't feel it, even if it's a struggle, you do it, even though you're not feeling it. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, the more easier it will be, the more you'll grow in that virtue.
Yes.
And so the same thing is true when it comes to any sort of growth in holiness, in the spiritual life, in avoiding sin, and all of that. But part of it is not just like, you can't just white knuckle it. I mean, it's always a collaboration with God's grace. So you want to always, of course, make sure you're frequenting the sacraments. But then also, and I think this is where you want to go with this conversation, and I think it's a great thing to talk about, is that when you're trying to grow in virtue, sometimes we need help on a human level.
Yes.
And so we put, either accountability in place with friends who can keep us on the right track, or we put up boundaries ourselves, knowing like if I go, to that sports bar, I'm probably gonna eat too much and drink too much. Well, then, okay, the boundary would be don't go there, or go there with a friend who can kind of help you be accountable. Mm-hmm. And so the growth in the spiritual life isn't just something that you can just do, but we do it with God's grace, and then we put up those boundaries that direct us towards our goal and help us get there. And yes. And the same thing is absolutely true in the digital life and what we're trying to do with fasting from technology and having our focus be to use it as a tool and not to let it use us.
Yes, very good. Yeah, excellent. I was like, should I make notes here? Oh, yeah, right.
It's okay. We're recording this.
We're recording.
You can go back to the show afterwards and listen.
So one thing I want to make clear, when we talk about tech minimalism, we're not talking about being Amish or angry at the modern world. We're asking, what is this doing to my soul, to my family, to my ability to pray, my ability to be present, to my ability to love? It's just examining it. It's not saying it's evil. It's not saying my phones are bad. It's just saying being aware. Like, sometimes it's enough to just become aware of the thing and to think about it and to ask the questions, even if you don't necessarily have all the answers. And so that's one of the things we want to do with this discussion of a digital Sabbath, is to ask some questions about it. And
it reminds me of even just kind of a standard example. If your technology is pulling you away from relationships and away from your focus on God, that's unhelpful, and you want to try to change things. And I think of even just, how many times have you been talking to someone and their phone buzzes and they're going to interrupt the conversation to check their phone when, okay, it's a text message. You could have looked at it 5 minutes later when we're finished with the conversation, but we're so addicted, and I don't know if that's quite the right word. We're trained to respond to the buzz no matter what.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I'm assuming we'll get to kind of tricks and secrets. So kind of taming the buzzing would be something that you can do to help in that regard.
So I want to make a distinction too. So like a digital Sabbath is not a digital detox. Digital detox is often we hear like, I'm giving up stuff, going cold turkey, and I'm not going to, use my things. And it's often framed in terms of self-improvement or performance or productivity. I'll be better at work, or I'll sleep more, or I'll optimize my brain. A digital detox isn't necessarily bad, but it's not quite the same thing. A digital Sabbath is not primarily about self-care. It's about worship and rest and trust. It's about making me it's about my relationships more than me. And it's about a refusal to be ruled by urgency. And it's not about whether can I go 24 hours without my phone, but can I let God be God for 24 hours? Can I stop acting like the world will collapse if I'm not reachable? That's a big one, by the way. For a lot of us, we've been trained to think, if I'm not accessible, if I'm out of touch for more than a couple hours, there will be problems. People won't be able to do the things.
And that is so anxiety ridden.
Yes.
Like we do. Yeah. I'm now no longer a young adult. Once I went over 35, I realized, that's the World Youth Day cutoff for young adults. But I realized that, as a kid, like, I didn't have all the technology, and you wouldn't talk to, some people if they weren't in your class or something, you wouldn't talk for days or weeks and everything's fine. But being constantly accessible is anxiety ridden, and I dislike it. I am only constantly accessible if it's an emergency call. All the other calls go to my office line and I'll deal with them later.
If you're an older millennial or older, you remember a time when people would call your house and you weren't there.
Yeah.
And maybe not even had an answering machine or voicemail. Like the phone rang, no one answered, and eventually they'd call again later. You wouldn't even know that they called. It was a way of being. And there's people under a certain age, and it's not a low age. It's who don't know that world where you are not constantly accessible. So I want to kind of lay out the spiritual core of what we're talking about, what a digital Sabbath is. So boundaries, when we talk about boundaries, it's not about control. It's actually about freedom. I always think of that John Paul II quote about freedom, which is freedom isn't freedom to do whatever you want. It's the freedom to do what you ought.
Yep.
And that's what boundaries do. They give us freedom.
I always use the analogy of a guardrail on a mountain road. That is not there to restrict your freedom. It's there to prevent you from careening off and dying, but it allows you then full freedom to drive within your lane.
I'm free.
Yeah, until you crash.
Yeah. So yes, most people think of boundaries as a restriction, but like you mentioned, like in Christian thought, boundaries are the opposite. They create a space where freedom can exist. Monasteries have walls where the monks are free to be in prayer in them. Liturgy has a structure where we are free to pray within that structure. You know, the church's calendar has seasons. A family has a home. We are free to be family inside that home. They're not cages. They're containers for grace. So, and limiting tech is not being anti-tech. It's being pro-human. So these are some ground rules I'm going to lay here as we get into this. And if technology constantly trains you to be constantly reachable, constantly stimulated, and constantly interruptible, it trains you out of the kind of interior stillness that's needed for prayer. Pope Leo was recommending the book Practice the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence, which is one of the great spiritual resources for learning that stillness and quiet for prayer. It's hard to be quiet. It's hard to be alone with your thoughts these days in silence.
I mean, even when you go to adoration, I mean, I like to take my journal and just sit with that. And that can be incredibly challenging. A lot of people, you know, love to read the Bible or read a spiritual book. And those are great things to do. Pray the rosary, all good things. But if you ever go to adoration and just try to sit there and be with the Lord, it can be challenging and uncomfortable. But the more you do it, the more you learn to hear the word of God, even in that quiet stillness. But yeah, it's a challenge.
It is a challenge in this time. It is. Why is it hard in 2026? Why do we say it's especially hard? So 20 years ago, 2006, a digital Sabbath would be like, turn off your phone or BlackBerry and stop checking your email. And, you know, now I'm on my digital Sabbath, you know,
just don't use the phone line and connect to the internet. I mean, just
turn off the TV.
Yeah, right. You know, don't connect to AOL, you know, today to get to check your whatever. Today, it's your phone is your wallet. It's your calendar. It's your maps. It's your authentication, you know, like 2 factors. It's your keys in many cases. It's your emergency contact. It's your parish texting group. It's your family group chat. It is all of these things and more, which are necessary and good things, but it means that it makes it more ingrained in our life and harder to put down. So in 2026, you can't just say, turn off your phone. It has to be a deliberate and realistic. It's not about guilt. It's just about a bit of a rule of life. And we should talk about what the rule is, you know, here that we're talking about when we talk about a rule of life. As we said, this is a time where the default expectation is reaction, interruption, urgency, outrage, comparison, consumption. You know, we've all seen it.
I would even add, like, there's this urgency that you have to have a hot take on everything that's happening.
Yes.
You don't. You don't.
I used to be someone who, you know, years ago when I was younger and more hot-headed, and not so cool-headed as I am now. I used to be a blog about everything in the news, and now I just, like, there's so much going on that you could be outraged about, and I actually get people telling me, "Why aren't you talking about it? You need to talk about it." What? So I could be number 2,999 today to talk about it?
Right.
Who cares what I think?
You need time to process and think, and not just react. And that was primary reason number one why I deleted all the social media but Facebook, and I don't even post on Facebook anymore.
Right.
It was because I felt like I had to have a reaction. I mean, even if it was to the new Star Wars trailer, which, okay, like, that's cool, that's fun, but, like, I don't need to react and share my reaction to that, to the news of the day, to Pope Leo's, you know, election, or, like, okay, if you want to come talk about it, come talk to me. We'll have a discussion. I don't need to,
I mean, there's a little bit of ego in that, isn't there? Like, when we expect everyone to be interested in what we have to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, that's sin number one. Pride.
Yep. So a digital Sabbath has to be something along the lines of, I'm not available to the algorithms today.
Yes.
Today. Right. Not ever, not from now on, but today. And again, when I say Sabbath, we're talking about a defined period of time. And we'll get into a little bit what those definitions can be. But we a Sabbath is a period of time where you take back your attention and offer to God, to your spouse, your children, your friends, in silence, in reading, in nature, works of mercy, all kinds of things you could be doing instead of that. I remember someone saying the average person spends 8 hours a day or a week or what, 8 hours a day in video games or something. And they were just talking about video games. And they asked, like, 50 years ago, what did people use those hours to do? What were they doing in all this time that we now spend on our screens? And that's an interesting question that it's not saying that it's bad to be playing video games, but it's an interesting question. Maybe asking what would we be doing if we didn't do this?
Playing cards, reading a book,
dominoes,
building things.
Well, yeah, I mean, and yeah, that raises it, or are we going to just kind of hand the tablet to the kids to keep them distracted and content? Or, are you going to pull out the Monopoly board? Uh-huh. I remember days, well, me and my brother playing Legos all the time, but I mean, Dad hated Monopoly, but I mean, I remember my mom would love to join us, and then card games too. And those are way better at, I mean, not to say video games are bad. I'm a gamer, so I do love those. And those can be great at bringing family together too. Mario Kart, family bring together and destroyer at the same time. But there is something about, playing cards and just talking and laughing and stuff that we lose if all you're doing is sticking to the screens. Right.
And a lot of gaming can be solo as opposed to communal too. And again, like you said, we're not saying tech is bad. It's just it draws our attention away. And it's not about being more productive, but more capable of love and prayer. So the phone trains me to live by appetite. The digital Sabbath will train me to live by meaning. Like when I say appetite, I don't mean like necessarily food. I mean appetites like our desires, our mental, physical, spiritual urges, shall we say?
Well, and even, I mean, it can be analogous to food is we want to consume, whether that digital content or beyond digital content. That's right. And social media plugs into that. Like that's why every time you open Facebook, it refreshes and gives you a whole new set of what people are saying, because it's all new and exciting. And you kind of consume and you're never satisfied.
And how often, just with food, I mean, for me, I'll talk about for me, like sometimes I don't always just eat because I'm hungry and I need to satisfy hunger. Yeah. I sometimes eat because I'm bored, or which is a bad reason to eat. Or out of habit, or it's a time of night and it's time for a snack.
In fact, I don't know if this is too off topic, but I always remember the acronym HALT. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Yeah, like those are all. Well, those are all emotions that or physical states that tend to put us more susceptible either to sin or like even just
bad
eating
habits.
Bad habits.
Yes. So, I agree. Vices in general.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So I want to address some objections and realities, shall we say, just objections that make people come up. Like one objection is, but I need my phone for maps or two-factor authentication or emergencies. And the response is, okay, don't make it impossible. Put it in a drawer. Don't keep it in your pocket or in your hand. Use it as a tool, not a portal into another world.
I know some families who do things like, especially with their kids, like force their kids to put all their phones in a box, in the evenings, and then they don't get their phone back until the mornings. Or, I mean, even as an adult, put the phone in the other room, while it's accessible, but not constantly accessible.
Well, and again, one of the things I've been doing is basically, turning it face down, and it's always on silent. It may vibrate a little bit, but I don't look at it if it's face down.
Right. And again, we're talking about, during the digital Sabbath. If you're going to take a digital Sabbath, which is a defined period of time in which you're being more intentional about things, you can put it in a drawer. And it doesn't mean it has to live in the drawer all the time, 7 days a week, but during the digital Sabbath, put it in a drawer. And that way it's there. And mentally, it's there and accessible. It's not locked away.
You can also, especially with our modern phones now, I mean, they have the schedules built into them where you could schedule your phone. I forget if that's the actual technical name for it, but the focus.
Focus not disturb. Yeah.
Right. But more than just like do not disturb, you can set up a schedule that like every Sunday I'm going to have the focus mode be Sabbath.
Yep.
And so it only will let emergency calls come through and no other notifications. Now, you might still keep that on you, but if you kind of know that ahead of time, like, knowing even if it's in your pocket and you're only going to hear it buzz if it's an emergency, that too can be a help.
Right. Yeah. Focus modes are awesome. I love them. I've talked about them many times about how I have a mass focus mode and that sort of thing. I think using a focus mode for this purpose for your digital Sabbath.
Because you can schedule that into your phone. And so it's automatic. You don't even have to think about it. It'll happen.
I think I'm thinking about doing that. That's interesting. Another objection folks will have is my kids will revolt. They'll never go through. Could you imagine the whining? I can imagine the whining. Because the tech has trained their nervous systems. I hear it so often. No, you can't have more screen time. But I got nothing to do. I'm bored. And they make it bored like 7 letters long. 7 letters long.
My parents would have just kicked me outside and been, okay, go figure out something to do.
Yeah, exactly. My mom would say, don't come back till it's dark.
Yeah.
But a big thing is the children will look to your example.
Yep.
And not just, we're all doing this and that's that. I hate it too. Do it with confidence. Do it with joy. Again, fake it till you make it. Even if you don't feel confidence and joy in doing it, look like you do. And then you will. Don't make it feel like it's a punishment and a deprivation. And don't just like take it all the screens away and make them sit staring at the walls. Give them something they'll like, that you'll all enjoy. Make pancakes, play board games. We talked about go on a walk, pray together, have a fun family activity. Go to a museum or, ball game or something. Do something. Most people live where within driving distance of a minor league ballpark, in the summer. I'm not saying don't obviously do it now unless you live in the Southern Hemisphere, but in general, like you probably live within driving range of a minor league sports team, hockey, baseball, football, whatever. Those are cheap and those are fun. Just go for the day. But I'm just like throwing things out there. Like don't make it a deprivation. Go get ice cream.
Opportunities are endless.
Exactly. It's not supposed to be that, again, it's a punishment. We have to put ashes on our head and wear, woolen cloaks. No, it's just make it this one thing that you're setting aside for time and do something fun and great and awesome.
Make it a special day.
Exactly. Make it a day that they want to have another digital Sabbath. That would be an interesting idea. Another objection is I'll miss something important. And again, this goes back to that what we said before. Part of the Sabbath is that realization that I am not the linchpin of the world. The world can do without me for a day. A little bit of
leave it up to God to see whether if something is really important, it'll come up. Leave it to God.
When I was in seminary, I did a summer in Omaha called the Institute for Priestly Formation, and they do every seminarian who goes there does an 8-day silent retreat to start off with. And many, not in that program, but many guys also do a 30-day silent retreat, which would be, I have not done that, but that would be really amazing to be able to do. But even the 8-day silent retreat, I remember struggling with exactly that. Like, surely something's going to happen that needs my attention. And the moment you get into like day 3 and 4, it's incredibly liberating. And it's like, okay, if the world's going to end, I'm going to hear about it without my phone. And I got through the whole week, and I mean, it was incredible. It was the best retreat I've ever been on. And then I had shenanigan friends who decided to text me as much as they possibly could. So I had like hundreds of text messages flood my phone when I opened it up again. But that's a whole different issue. But yeah, I mean, if something is that major, you're going to find out about it without your need for the phone.
And if like a disaster happens, someone will let you know. Someone will come knock on your door.
Yeah.
If it's a true emergency, So don't worry. And again, you can have systems where you can break through. We'll talk a little bit about that, where one person can break through, or somebody can break through to get a hold of you. So let's talk about we can talk about like different tiers of the digital Sabbath, like different levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Which is kind of a lot like a lot of the spiritual life. There are tiers to the spiritual life, levels. The God is very wise. The Holy Spirit's obviously very wise, and it knows that we're all at different places in our walk. And so you could start at beginner and end up in advanced eventually, or just stay at beginner if that's where you are called to be. So let's talk about what those are, though. So at the beginner level, you could do things like no social media, no news, no doom scrolling, no email, no shopping apps, but you can allow like phone calls and texts, using the maps, using your camera, listening to music, and using prayer apps, maybe a book, especially if it's a spiritual book, like a Kindle app or something like that. And that would be a nice digital Sabbath, a block of time, say all of Sunday, if you wanted to do it that way, where that's the only things you use when it comes to tech. And that's a pretty reasonable expectation when you think about it. That's not hard to do. I know for some people giving up doom scrolling can be hard, but it's not hard. But then there's the next level, intermediate, and now we kind of get a little into things. And so this is one where you could say all the devices, tablets, phones, laptops, whatever, all docked in one place, whether they're plugged in or in a box or in a drawer or in a room that we've closed, except for one adult's phone for emergencies. Okay, that phone don't carry the phone around, I think would be the idea. Leave the phone someplace
on a shelf.
Yes, exactly. Plugged in, in a public place, like in the kitchen or dining room, so that everyone can see that phone, and it's not like in another room where you can sneak in and be tempted to use it. No TV unless it's communal, right? Big thing with watching shows, movies and TV shows these days is everyone watches them on their own little device, their own phone, their own tablet, their own laptop. So make it a communal experience. Whatever it is. No screens at the table, which frankly,
that should be all the time.
It should be all the time. It isn't always all the time in my household. We've actually gotten into a fun thing. Side note: the New York Times games. We play the spelling bee. My wife, my daughter, and I. And we, at the end of the day at dinner, we compare our word lists and, and we kibitz and rant about the stupid words they don't allow. But on a digital Sabbath, boom, no screens at the table. I think that would be great. But you must have shared activities. So like board games or a walk or visiting friends or reading aloud from a book together. That would be fun. And doesn't have to be reading aloud from, Chesterton's, Orthodoxy or, the 7-Story Mountain. It could be a fun book like Arthur Ransom's Swallows and Amazons or something, which even though my kids are older, they still love Swallows and Amazons, frankly. And honestly, to be honest, I love Swallows and Amazons too. I think it's a great book, the book series. So read together, allow, and in the intermediate level, allow music, allow photos, camera, allow emergency communications for the one adult phone. It's not no to tech. It's yes to presence, to being present to each other. Again, it's a mindset, really. Okay, so that's the important thing. And then let's go to the advanced level. This is the what am I trying to think of? Like the Capuchin? No, not Capuchin. The Cistercian level, level of the digital Sabbath. So your phone off for large blocks of time, like literally off. Say from after dinner Saturday night to after mass on Sunday morning. That's an interesting amount of phone off. No screens at all for leisure. No news, no podcasts. I know. It's hard for me to say this, but no podcast, no YouTube.
Just binge SQPN on Monday.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just catch up on all your SQPN podcasts on Monday. Intentional silence in this case. Like this is so it's like It's like a retreat. But if you can't do it every week at this level, make it monthly, or quarterly. But try to, just like with a retreat, you try to do when you can. It's another level of the spiritual life. You could do the intermediate or beginner every week and do this like once a month or something along those lines. And the allow in this case would be allow an emergency phone only, like just one phone. It's the emergency phone, but you're not touching it. So those would be like examples. You don't have to abide by those particular versions of it. You could create your own version. There's nobody's policing this. It's just offering as an example.
It's meant to be, a rhythm of life, a rule of life. And
Exactly.
This is you find the rhythm that works for you and your family, and make it part of your rhythm of life and not just a one-off sort of thing.
Right. And you will be amazed that if you do this, even just for half of Sunday, once a week, how much it will change your life, personal life, your family life, the differences it will make, I think. And then the why is more important than the rule. Okay. This isn't just about self-control. The goal isn't to make us better than other people or more pure. I'm a better Christian. Don't you know? I don't use my phone on Sundays.
Look, at least I'm not like that poor tax collector.
I'm not like that tax collector on his iPhone. And it's also not anti-technology. This isn't saying technology is bad. Obviously, that would be a stupid thing for a tech podcast to be telling you. Because it's not bad. It's a tool. Just don't become the tool. The goal
use it appropriately.
Exactly. So the goal here is to become a person who's capable of attention, prayer, and love. All things which sometimes are drained from us by the device. Okay.
It's funny that you are bringing all of this up because my mass today was all about the Pharisees trying to trip Jesus up about healing on the Sabbath.
Yes.
And how the Sabbath is made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And one of the things that I talked about in my homily today was the whole notion of why we have rules. And it's not, the rules are there to guide us towards the good and life.
Yes.
And you can flaunt the rules, but it's going to lead towards the opposite. But so is just adhering to the rules because they're the rules without at all engaging your heart in the why. And the why is necessary because the Pharisees followed the rules, but their hearts weren't engaged. So it's not just following the rules. The rules are there because the rules guide us towards the good. And so I kind of preached at my confirmation kids tonight.
That's awesome.
About that.
That's great. That connection. Yeah.
That's this whole point is it's meant to guide us to union with God and one another. And that's if that's not your heart in all of this, then why are you doing it?
Then don't do it. Don't do it. It's worse for you if you do this because you're trying to become a Pharisee.
Right.
The rules aren't the point. Love is the point.
Yep.
Like that's really kind of what it boils down to. And love for God, love for your family.
Yep.
That's really what it always boils down to is love. There's a little bit of a line that I wanted to add here, a little bit of a notion. Modern tech encourages a kind of acedia, which is a fancy theological spiritual word for spiritual sloth or restlessness, which is not doing nothing. It's being unable to settle into the good.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that modern tech can encourage. It's not a foregone conclusion. Again, I don't know if I've it's hedged it enough for you all. I'm not saying tech is bad. I'm saying don't let it control you. Be present. So I'm going to give you an invitation to everyone listening. Start with an hour, maybe, or an evening, and then do it for a day. And then, if you really want to go, do it for all of Lent, possibly. That would be like, even if you did it at the beginner level for all of Lent, that would be spiritually enriching, I believe. I don't know that
even if you set up times, X number of hours, I'm going to be doing this every day, not necessarily the whole day.
Right.
But like only from certain hours do I check my phone.
Maybe from, when I get home from work to when I go to bed. You could do that, or something along those lines, where, or even just, in the 2 hours before I usually go to sleep, I'm going to take on this practice.
Mm-hmm.
That could be very fruitful for you. So, and then when you've come to the end of this period, assess: did I pray more? Did I argue less? Did I laugh more with my family? If you do it on a Sunday, did Sunday feel like Sunday again after all this? And I'm gonna guess that the answer will be yes for most people. And if that's the case, maybe it's something fruitful to do. So,
yep.
I hope this is beneficial to folks. Any last thoughts on the digital Sabbaths before we move on? Pat?
One of the things I was just remembering is that when I was growing up, Sundays afternoons often were the time to call your family, to call people that you haven't talked to for a while. So you could say that would be a positive thing if you said, I'm going to call, my kids or my whatever. Use that productively, not as a abstinence, but as a proactive, I'm going to use this for something really good.
Being present in love with people. They use that. I think that's like, if you watch TV, do it communally as a family. I think that's another way to say, if I'm going to be on a screen, I'm going to do it in a way that brings virtue, because at that point the screen kind of falls away when you're like FaceTiming with loved ones. The screen falls away and you're just there with them. It's not really about the tech at that point. And I think that's the big thing is you're not stuck in an algorithm. You're not doom scrolling. You're not being, dragged along by the technology. You're just using it as the tool it is. I think it's great. Yeah,
I think that's absolutely the key, is just remember that technology is inherently neither good nor bad. It's a tool, and we can use that tool for our benefit, or we can let the tool control us. And at the end of the day, ask yourself, is this causing me to love more or not? And if it's causing you to love more, that's a good thing. If it's not, then perhaps you should give it up, or at least restrict it.
Yes, make it, put it back in the area that where it isn't doing that thing to you. All right. So, man, I feel like the Holy Spirit really descended on us with this topic, because this is, as I went through this, putting this outline together, I'm like, this is really speaking to me. So I hope it speaks to the audience.
Yeah.
So before we move on to our headlines, I do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create The Secrets of Technology, including Robert R., Mary C., Frank T., Scott M., and David T. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give or givestarquest.com. It's a new domain that we've created. I think it's easier to remember than sqpn.com. So givestarquest.com. All right, let's move on to some headlines. And this is kind of related to what we were talking about. A new report says screen time limits for children are no longer enough. And the headline is a little misleading, I have to say. It's not saying that we need to be even stricter. The headline, what the study is saying, or the American Academy for Pediatrics is saying, is it's not simply enough to just say limit the amount of screen time the kids have, but instead, devices have become a part of our lives. So maybe we should say we need to be more intentional about our screen use, and we need to maybe as parents sit with our children as they use these screens and be involved in how they use their screens. And some screen use is educational or formative, or brings us together as a family if we watch a show together, and et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of seems a lot like what we were just talking about. Yeah. What do y'all think of this discussion from the American Academy for Pediatrics?
I mean, I think we could just reiterate our entire conversation so far. I mean, it needs to be more about teaching the kids how to use screens appropriately and prudently. And sure the young kids, it's more difficult to teach them, but you can, do engaging stories with them using screens. and then teach them that when they're not using the screens, that's when you can do a family activity or teach, read a book, do other things. But especially as they get older, yeah, it's not just, well, you can have the screens for 2 hours today and that's it. It's teach them how to be prudent about using those screens and how to be prudent about putting them away, and teach and show and lead by example.
I can remember when the kids were small, they would gather around one computer and they would all get together and try to solve problems, on the screen together. And that's kind of, something I would like to encourage, as opposed to saying no screens. Say, well, let's play this game and everybody can contribute, that type of thing.
The screens become a babysitter. And that's where I think it really just falls off the rails. And it's you're not teaching them. It's just they're just using it to keep them preoccupied. And there's no relationship building. There's no, and even if they're doing, say, a learning program, that's the wrong mental attitude to have towards them.
Right. The article, they talk about like making distinctions about the types of digital use. Like they say there's low quality digital use, like mindless scrolling, autoplay videos, frequent notifications, and algorithms that push extreme or harmful material. That can be highly stimulating, but it can lead to poor sleep, attention difficulties, academic challenges, emotional regulation problems. And then high quality content, on the other hand, can enrich a developing mind. Educational, creative, and social platforms that avoid manipulative design features and prioritize privacy. I want to give a personal example. So our friend Thomas Sanherho, who's one of our panelists, he set up a Minecraft server that his kids use and some of their friends, and we invited 3 of my kids to join it, and they've joined the server. And one of my children has had difficulty socializing, and also difficulty with the written word, reading and writing, and it has blossomed. He's made friends. He is interested in helping people. Like they actually our kids have gotten a reputation on the server as being the most helpful. Cool. I'm very proud of them. I told them I'm very proud of them, being very helpful to the other players in Minecraft, and and they've formed friendships, and they talk to the other kids now, and they have chats with them, and it's like, wow, this is like, it's an enriching experience for them. It's really enriched their social lives and given them an opportunity to practice virtue. And that's the point. It's like, I don't love, that idea of spending hours and hours and hours and hours on the computer. But if they're going to be on, especially in the winter when there's hardly anything you can do outside these days with piles of snow, at least it's something that's enriching, and it's a high quality experience, as opposed to, playing a platform shooter on the Steam Deck.
It's like a virtual playground.
Right. Yeah. With real other people.
Right.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
Go play mini golf with a group.
Exactly. Go play mini golf with grandma on the Oculus.
Yeah.
So that, I think it was an interesting approach, and we'll see how that bears out. Because one of the things that has to happen is the tech companies and the government, they need to keep this sort of stuff in mind as they change the technology. Like I think of Apple screen time technology. I hope that they continue to iterate and improve on it, because it's helpful, but it's certainly not perfect. And it's got a lot of ways it needs to go to really help families, navigate this space. So the next headline is an interesting one out of University of Notre Dame. Notre Dame $50 million grant aims to bring faith-based ethics to AI future in big way. So the Lilly Endowment has given a $50 million gift to the University of Notre Dame to support something called the Delta Network, which is a faith-based approach to AI ethics launched in September 2025. Delta is an acronym, because we have to have acronyms for things, and it emphasizes 5 enduring Christian values. D for dignity. Every human being has inherent worth. Then there's E for embodiment, because people are embodied. You couldn't use incarnational, because then it would be Delta. But then L for love, and A for agency, or human freedom, that sort of thing. So the grant is going. What's that?
What's T?
Transcendence. Sorry, I skipped transcendence. Yes, the T is the things that draw people beyond themselves. And so the idea is it's part of their Institute for Ethics and the Common Good. I think it's run out of by the same people. And they're going to be using the money to create courses, to promote coursework in colleges and schools, to train teachers and how to approach AI ethics. I mean, because the rise of AI, we're just at the beginning of what AI is and going to be, and it's going to raise interesting moral and ethical questions as we get. I mean, it's already raised interesting ones. It's going to raise even more as we move forward. And we, the Catholic Church, are uniquely situated within our moral and historical framework to provide advice and insight. There was one tech guy at a Vatican conference on the future of AI who said something like, it may seem on the surface kind of counterintuitive, like, wow, I wouldn't think of the Catholic Church as exactly cutting edge when it comes to technology. But at one of these AI events of the Vatican, a technologist who wasn't a person of faith said, we're going to need some ancient wisdom for this one. That's a good point.
I mean, I think that's partly why the church takes her time with some of this, because we have to look at it from, I mean, we need the foundation of who we are, Christian anthropology. I mean, and I like what they're trying to do here, because especially when you look at Catholic social teaching and especially as that applies to artificial intelligence, you have to keep in mind the dignity of every human person as you're creating these technologies. And I think, yeah, we should be speaking into that, because right now AI is blossoming into something that can kind of go out of control, and there's no limits, or you can go on Grok or ChatGPT, and I mean, it's amazing what kind of videos they can do, but they can make anybody look like themselves in any kind of video that you want, and
right.
That can go in very bad places very quickly. And even if it's not a bad place, someone can create a video of you doing something that you never did. And so I think that this kind of deep fakes, all of that, I mean, is just getting better and better, and it's worse and worse for this whole realm of technology. And so we need something like this kind of a framework as we're developing technology, especially when it comes to AI. And I think some of it has gotten a little bit too far too quick, and we need to kind of pull back a little bit. But I mean, the world's not going to put the genie back in the bottle. I mean, but
right.
we're still, able to speak into it, I think, in ways that we should. And I mean, I know there's the rumor that even Pope Leo might write an encyclical on AI, and I hope that he does. I think that this kind of a Catholic social teaching applied to technology and AI is something the world needs to hear.
One of the things that they say is, they're not focused on technology itself or on the technology policy, but on forming the souls of users and the people who are going to live in a society that has this technology in it now.
Which that is very Catholic. Like,
yes.
That's the whole point of even using technology. It's all about forming the person and not the other way around.
Right. And I hope it's also the part is like forming the souls of the people who are creating the technology would be also another admirable way for these funds to be used. I think it's one, like they said, it's the largest single gift that they've received, the largest given by a private foundation to Notre Dame ever. And for this topic, it makes sense. So those are our headlines this week. And so now we move on to our picks of the week. And Father, why don't you give us your pick this week?
Yeah, so my pick is, technology related, but not really related to our conversation per se. But I don't know did you ever use Pocket?
Yes.
So Pocket was an app. It was a service, cloud-based service that you could save web pages. So like if you found an article online that you wanted to kind of save, you'd put it in Pocket, and it kept a list of all your saved web pages. And they shut down a year and a half ago, something
Yeah, I think it was last year.
recently-ish,
Yeah.
I forget. And I've always been looking for something kind of similar to it since then, because I liked it to just kind of, go back to web articles that I wanted to read that I didn't want to print or save as a PDF or something. And so I have found this app called Inno Reader, so INO Reader, and it does similar things. It's a cloud-based sort of conglomerate of you can have it show RSS feeds. You can have it kind of, if you get the pro version, you can even like put social media accounts on there and pull their feeds. But the free version, I think, is good for what most people would want it to. So you could put your RSS feeds there. So your news websites that you can pull their RSS feeds into it. So you get it in one place. But there's also a spot in there where you can save web pages. So I like to use it for that. And the free version allows you to pull up to 150 RSS feeds. And then the pro version is $7.50 a month. But like I said, for the average user, you wouldn't even need that.
Right.
And I think, it's kind of it's a nice replacement to Pocket with a few more features than Pocket had.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the feature list. I was thinking it was like just another Google feed reader, like Google Reader, back in the day, or Feedly, but it seems to be filling a couple of different needs with being able to either do RSS feeds or just send articles in. I found when Pocket went away, I'm like, oh, I should go check out my Pocket. And I found a bunch of articles that I'd saved and never read.
Yeah.
But
I exported all of mine to like a CSV file, and it's now sitting on my computer. So I'd like to maybe go back through that and add them to Reader. But it's kind of fun even on that front to look back and like, oh, that's what I was reading 5 years ago. And
and then wow, that's really irrelevant now 5 years later. But I like the idea of having these sorts of things, but I hate the stress of having unread things.
Yeah.
So it would have to be, if I were to do it, I would need to do it very intentionally and very selectively.
For me, it's more like I really like that article, and I don't want to go through the hassle of printing it or saving it as a PDF, and so I stick it in there to
that's a good point.
Kind of go back to it if I ever want to. Or often I find myself like, oh, I was just reading a good article and I should share it with you, and then I'm trying to look through my history on Chrome, and it's like, I don't even know. But if it's that kind of an article, just save it there, and then you know where to go back to find it.
That's a great point. That's great.
So I don't do it sort of like as a read later, which you could do as a read later. Yeah. But I'm like you. I do not like the notifications of unread things. So
yes, exactly. Excellent. Pat, what's your pick this week?
Well, it's something that it came up again this last couple of weeks, where people have equipment that might have gotten damaged by power, and with storms coming up, the idea of having something that conditions your power and keeps it from damaging your equipment when there's a drop or a surge. This is a UPS battery backup. And I happen to like APC because we really had done a good study when I worked at the state, and that was the one that got the best reviews and performance. But at any rate, it's just a simple thing, but there's lots of different sizes. And in the link, then I've got one example of one it's got about 8 plugs or 10 plugs, and some of them are power backed up as well as surge, and others are just surge. Right. But there's a smaller one but I find that it's just too cramped for most of my clients, so I like that one with more ports on it, more plugs.
Yeah, a UPS is a great thing to have. Like this one, you could probably plug in your computer to monitor, hard drive, printer, maybe
modem.
Even your modem, your cable modem. I've got 3 UPSs within like 10 feet of me right now.
I've got one on each computer station.
Yep. I've got one that's just for the modem and router, and I've got one that my NAS drives are on, and I got one that my computer is on. And they don't last forever. Like the battery backup doesn't last forever, but it lasts long enough for maybe you to finish what you're doing and shut things down orderly, as opposed to just turning off. But that's the other thing to keep in mind is it may have 8 plugs, but only so many of them will be connected to the battery. The others are just surge protector.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we found when I was working for the state was that we put a lot of our equipment on it, and the equipment lasted longer. Because it was not getting those constant surges and drops. And we found that we saved a lot of money on routers and switches and stuff like that by doing that.
That's interesting. The thing to keep in mind is these batteries don't last forever. So when you buy one, they usually have replaceable batteries. So some of the smaller ones, they don't. They're sealed inside. But some of them have a battery that you can take out and replace. But set yourself a reminder 3 years or 4 years, I forget exactly how long they're supposed to last, to get a new one.
Or it'll start beeping at you, and then you can go to your local battery store and get one. we have places around town we can get the replaceable batteries at Batteries Plus type thing.
Good, yeah. Excellent. That's a good. I'm always happy to recommend UPSs for folks. So my pick is something that's not quite available just yet, but it will be available next week as we record. Apple introduced the Apple Creator Studio, which is like Adobe Creative Suite, and there's some others like that, where it's a collection of apps that are available for a set price. And so the Creator Studio will give you access to Final Cut, which is a video editing, Logic, which is audio editing. What is it? I'm trying to find the list. Something called Main Stage, which is for live audio, live music sort of thing, but that's fine. A Motion, Compressor, which are both important for video editing. And then special versions, then a program called Pixelmator, which is a photo editing software. Okay. And then special versions of Keynote, Pages, and Numbers that will have AI features, but also some premium content like templates and stock photos and stuff like that. Now, all of these will still, like the Keynote, Pages, and Numbers will still come for free with your new Mac purchase. They'll still be available for free. They won't have the extra AI features. I'm not quite sure what those will be and whether it even matters, whether anyone cares. But they'll be there as part of it. This bundle. And the great thing is it's $12 a month. Or $129 a year to get all of this.
Wow. That's compared to the Adobe Suite,
which is hundreds and hundreds a year.
I know.
I mean, it's practically you get for 1 year what you almost have to pay for 1 month of the Adobe Suite. And then there's like an educational version, which is $3 a month. So if you have a student or if you're a school, you get all of this for $3 a month, which is mind-blowing. I use the Adobe Suite. I use Adobe Audition to edit our shows, and I use Adobe Premiere when I have to do videos. But I may look at this because it's cheaper. Even we get a nonprofit license, and even this is even cheaper than the nonprofit license we're paying for. So it may be worthwhile checking this out for me. So on January 28th, that's when they make it available. So and even if you only need to, like, for one particular project for a month, $12, subscribe for a month. You get access to all this stuff. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subscribe for a month for $12 and give it a shot. See what it's like. Yeah,
so at least try it out for a month, and that way you'll find out whether you really, whether it fits your lifestyle or not.
Well, and I heard some people say like they have both Audition and Logic, for instance, for editing podcasts, and Audition is good for some things and better at some things, and Logic is better at other things, and they just use them both, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
So, poor Pat keeps popping in and out. You haven't noticed that. We've tried to, but her connection keeps dropping. So she may drop out again before we wrap up. So let's wrap things up now as we've finished our picks of the week. So that's it for our discussion. And we'd love to know, what you think of the Digital Sabbath. If you try it, let us know how it goes and what you've done, perhaps, to make it a reality for you and adapted it for your needs. I'd love to hear from folks' experiences. Lent is coming up, and this is maybe a good thing to do during Lent. So you can let us know by sending us an email to technology@sqpn.com, visiting the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC329. And for previous episodes, you should visit sqpn.com/technology. You can follow The Secrets of Tech. We're in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, all the podcast places, even on YouTube at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia, where if you go there, subscribe and hit that bell to get notifications. And one last thing, please write a review of the show in Apple Podcasts or wherever you write reviews or give star ratings on podcast directories. That really helps us a lot. Also, share the podcast, especially this particular episode, with folks. I think this episode would be an excellent one to share with folks to show them what it's like for Catholics to talk about technology from a Catholic perspective. So now, until next time, Father Andrew Kinstetter, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Pat Scott, thank you as well.
Always good to be here.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another podcast on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy: The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/secrets.